So till now you have seen like in the previous two sessions, right? You have seen like how the basic Linux, right? Linux basics we have seen, and some of the administration commands like okay, how to uh, create some services, how to start service, manage the services, and all right. And also I'll try to look at like a file permissions first. Okay, once I completed the file permissions, so I'll go to the scripting part. Okay. So when you create a file, right? How to create a file? Let us say we can create with a file called touch. Okay, file name. Okay. So we created a file with this particular way, or else we have a different ways, right? So one is in a touch we can create. When you create a file, you can see something like this. Okay. Okay. So something like this you can see some. Okay. Then user group. Okay. Then size of that file. Then file name. Okay. Something like this you can see. So a file has a different attributes, I can say. Okay. So it has a name, it has a size, it has a user owner, I mean to say owner of the file, group owner of the file, and also you can see certain permissions. These are all the permissions. The first character here says hyphen, right? That is a regular file. What is that? Regular file. If it is starting with a D, right, it's a directory. If it is a C means it is a character device file. If it is L means link file. Such a way we can identify whether it is a directory, whether it is a file, whether it is a link file, whatever it is, right? By looking at the first character, now in this case, it is a regular file. If it is starting with D means direct. The next three characters says what is the user permissions or owner permissions, right? The next three characters says what is the group permissions. After three characters says like this is the others. Who are others? Let us try to consider this way. We have a group called okay, Java group. We have a testing group. We have a DevOps group. Okay? In the Java group, we have a J1 user, a testing T1 user. Okay, let us say D1 user, J2 user, T2 user, okay, D2 user. Okay. Now you observe here J1 and here you see that as a DevOps. Now you understand that, okay, the owner of the file is J1 user, group owner is DevOps. In this DevOps group, there's a D1 and D2 are the members of the group. That is what we understand, right? So generally we have a file permissions like read, write, and execute. We can also represent them like a read is nothing but four number numerical representation. Write is nothing but 2. One is nothing but a execute. Read, write, and execute. Now in this case, let us say we have a given permissions like this, suppose read, write, execute. Okay, read and execute. Sorry, read and execute, and only read permission given to others. Now let us understand this way. What is a J2 user permissions in this file? What is a J2 user permissions in this file? Now tell me, is J2 is the owner of the file? Is J2 is the owner of the file?
Yes.
No.
He
Is
has
J1 is
given.
the owner, right? J1 is the owner. J2 is not the owner, right? J2 is the not owner of the file. Now look at, is J2 part of DevOps group? Is J2
Yes.
part of DevOps group?
No.
No. Then this J2 comes under others category now, right? He is under others category because J2 is not a owner, because J1 is the owner. And also J2 is not part of DevOps group. So then where it comes under others? What does others permissions have? Read. That means if you logged in as a user called J2, you can only read the file. You cannot edit the file. You cannot execute that file. Only you can go and read the file. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When come to the, okay, let us try to change this now. What are the D2 permissions here? So now let us see, is D2 is the owner of the file? Is
No.
D2 is the owner of the file? No.
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 Is D2 a part of DevOps group?
Yes.
Yes.
Then what the D2 having a permissions is part of group, right? Read and execute. That means D1 and D2 users part of DevOps group so that they have a read and execute. That means suppose someone given a script, someone given a file. So he can able to read the file and he can use the script. He can execute that script. but he cannot edit that. He cannot edit that script. Okay. So that is the way, okay, we can try to look at who is the owner of the file, who is the group owner of the file, and what is the permissions they have. Okay, let us look at now. Here we have an T1, and here we have an now let us say Java. Now tell me, what is a D1 user having a permissions? What is a D1 user having a permissions here? Look at first. D1 is the owner of the file?
No.
No. D1 is a part of Java group?
No.
No. Then D1 comes under other category. What other category permissions we have? Read and execute. So this the D1 user or D1 user or D2 user or T2 user is comes under others part. So others category, so they can read and execute. So here I try to change it directly, but in Linux server, how can we change the permissions? For that command is chmod. Chmod is a command to change the file permissions. Let us say I want to give an read permissions. Okay, R, write, okay, or execute. To whom I want to give? Let us say, okay, user, group, others, whoever you want, you can give it. Then file name. This is the way you can do. Suppose, sorry, okay, suppose I want to give only executable permissions. You can say simply X. Okay, so everyone, chmod plus X file name means for everyone, user, group, others, I want to give the executable permissions. Okay, so if you look at like an, if I say O means others plus X, that means others I want to give executable permissions. First to user or group or others, then we can try to give what kind of permissions you want to give. Read or write or execute, whatever. Okay. And also, okay, this is the one way. Okay, fine. This is the way we can try to change the file permissions. Suppose you want to give all read, write, execute, sorry, user, group, others, everyone you want to give permissions, you need not to specify now. It is nothing but for everyone I want to give executable permission. Okay. For everyone, I want to give executable permissions. Okay. So let us say what we did is from J1 to T1, we changed the ownership, right? We changed the ownership from T1 to J1. How can we change the ownership of the file? We can use chown. Chown, let us say ownership of the file, let us say J1. Who is the group of that? Let us say testing. Then file name. To change the ownership, we can use chown, ownership changing. If you want to change the permissions, chmod. Okay, file permissions changing. Okay, so this is the way. Let us try to look at, I hope you all know, okay, there is a site we use to practice this, right? The killer code I can try to take and you can try to test it if you want. So, okay, let us try to take a Linux session. Okay, different scenarios already given. If you want to use that, practice that, you can do that. For time being, I'll try to look at a simple option. Okay, so now tell me, just I try to list all the files here. Now tell me, this file 2, is this a file or directory? It is a directory, right? Is a directory? How can we say whether it is a file or directory?
It's a file.
Basically, it is a file. It is starting with hyphen. Now tell me, this file system is a file or directory?
It's a directory.
How can you say it is a directory? It is starting with L, right? L means what? Link file. L means what? Link file. Now this one, test dir, is that file or directory?
It's a directory.
Yeah. So it is starting with L means it is a link file, hyphen means regular file, D means directory file, C means character device file, such a. Okay. Now tell me, for this particular not my file, that is a file, who is the owner of the file? Who is the owner of the file?
Test user.
Test
Who
user.
is the group owner of the file?
Same test user only.
Okay. So both are test user and group. Both are test user only. Okay. So now let us try to see, we'll try to change the ownership, group ownership of this. Okay. So how can we change, how to change the ownership?
chmod.
No. How to change ownership?
chown, OWN.
Chown. Okay, let us say a test user I don't want to change, but group I want to change it to root. Let us say not my file. So now you look at, okay, so the group has changed, right? Group has changed to test user to root user, right? Okay. Now look at like an so if you want to change the file ownership and user as well, right? You can try to see here instead of test user, if you want to change any other username, you can try to change that, right? So if you look at here, it has changed from test user to root user. You can try to change ownership of the file. If you want to change the file permissions, if you look at here, so let us say we have a file 01, okay? So file 01, so we have a read, write, read, write, read, right? Okay. Now let us say if I want to change the file permissions, how can we change it?
chmod.
Chmod. Okay, let us try to give executable permissions to everyone. Okay, plus X. Everyone means you need not to specify anything here. Or else you can say user, group, others, that is up to you. Let us first give others only. Okay, others, I'm giving executable permissions on the file 01. Okay, others, okay, file 0. So if you look at now file 01 permission, so if you look at the executable permissions are added here, right? X is added to this part. To where it is added in the others portion, right? In the others category, the executable permissions are added. Suppose I want to give everyone, I want to give executable permissions to everyone. So simply you can say plus X. Now you can see X is added in the all the categories like user level, group level, and others. Clear? Okay. Now, so generally we also represent the file permissions with the numbers, right? As I said, like we can try to represent with numbers. So the file permissions also can be assigned with the chmod is fine, but with the help of numbers also we can do, okay, with let us say 4 to 1, right? If I want to give a full permissions, what we can say is 7. 4 plus 2 plus 1, right? 7 per user, per group, others, file name. That means we are giving full permissions to use a particular file to all the members, user, group, others, everyone, we are giving a full permission. Okay. For everyone, we are giving a full permission. Suppose I want to give only read permissions to others. So what is the read permissions? 4. 4 means we'll give only read permissions to others. Suppose I want to give read and execute permissions to group. 4 plus 1, right? That is nothing but 5, right? That is nothing but 5. Is that clear? So suppose now in this case, let us see. In this case, what we'll do is, so okay, for this particular file, for group and others, I want to give, in this case, for group and others, I want to give executable permissions. Okay. Now tell me what is the command I have to run. Group and others, I want to give executable permissions. How can I give that? Chmod command, you know that, right? Chmod. Now what is the number I have to give?
077.
Okay. The problem is 7 is nothing but full permissions, right? I don't want to give full permissions. I want to give only executable permissions, right? So executable permissions is 1. Okay. Most of the people will do same. 0 means it will remove the existing user permissions. Read write will be removed. 0 means. So don't do that. Don't do that. So if someone asks you to give executable permissions to some others, try to give that, but don't remove the existing users permissions. So what is the read write? Read means 4, write means 2, 6. Don't change that. Now group, read means 4. I want to give one more extra permission, that is execute. 4 plus 1, 5. For others also read already there, that is 4. 1 means 5. 655. Then what is the file name? File-01.txt. This is the way you try to give the permissions. Don't delete an existing permissions. What you want to give, you can try to add to that. Look at that. If the requirement is to delete the existing permissions and give other permissions, that is fine. But generally they say, hey, can you give the executable permissions for this particular user or others or group? Don't change the existing permissions. Simply try to add the permissions to that. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yeah. Sorry, can you explain it again? Little confused here.
So what happened? The existing permissions first look at. Read write. Read write means 4 plus 2. That is 6. Read means 4, 4. Now the question is, how can we give an executable permissions to group and others? Right? So I don't want to change user. A user permissions I don't want to touch because, okay, that is, I don't want to delete the permissions of user. I want to add some extra permission to group and others. That is nothing but executable. Executable is nothing but 1. Executable is nothing but 1. That means 4 plus 1, 5. 655, right?
Yeah.
Is that clear now?
Yeah. Got it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So chmod means, so we can try to give the file permissions. We can change the file permissions. Chown means we can change the ownership of the particular. Okay. So we'll move to the shell scripting now. Okay. So as a DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, we need to understand shell scripting. So how the shell scripting works? Generally, any file, generally in shell scripting, we try to maintain the file with the .sh. .sh is not mandatory, but generally if you want to represent it as a shell script, you can try to maintain the extension as a .sh. Okay, but it is not a mandatory. It is not a mandatory that okay we have to maintain .sh. But generally recommendation is okay. So just a minute. So what we'll do now? So okay, let us say we have created .sh file that is nothing but a script. So in that, okay, we'll try to add some content to that. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll try to create one shell script. Okay. Let us say touch. I am trying to create script.sh, something like this. Okay. Script.sh. Now look at that. Is this file executable? Can anyone execute the script now?
No.
No, right? Because no one has executable permissions. So I want to give everyone executable permissions. So what I can do, if I want to give executable permissions to everyone, chmod, you can simply say X. Okay. Simply you can say X. So, okay. Simply you can say X, nothing but, okay, that is an executable permissions you can give. Okay. Or else you can say executable permissions if I want to give read and write means. So that is 6 plus 1, 7. Read and execute means 5 the script.sh, so that okay it will execute, it will give you a read and it will give you the required executable permissions to everyone. Now everyone can execute the script. Okay, so how to execute the script, we'll try to look at that first. Okay, where this file is located, it is located in /root. It is located in /root. So either you can specify /root /script dot, okay, script.sh you can say. Sorry, I given wrong. /root /script.sh you can try to execute like this. As of now, we don't have anything in that, so it is not given any output. That is fine. Either you can try to give the full path of the script. Okay, absolute path we can call it as. PWD means it has shown, okay, it is there in the /root directory. Then I given that path of the script. Or else you can also give the relative directory. Okay, so simply I can say dot means present working directory. I'm already in the root. So I can say /. That means dot means present working directory / the script name dot. Either way you can do. Most of the people will use this one. Okay, they say that /script.sh. So it is nothing but simply, okay, you are executing in a script which is located in my working directory. Okay, I'm executing a script which is located in my working directory. Or else you can give the full path of the script. That is up to you. Okay, so let us say you are executing some remote mission. So you have to go into CD the directory, then you can execute like this second. Or else you can give the full path of that. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll try to add some content to that particular file. Okay, so I told you if I want to print anything in Linux, what we can do? Echo is a command. Is not what is the echo command does? What the echo command does? Echo will print whatever the input you are given, right? Echo command will print whatever the input you given. It will try to print. So if you look at hi, good morning, it will try to print hi, good morning, right? If I want to execute a command also, you can do. Let us say, suppose if you see host name is my command, date is the command, right? Date is the command. So it is printing the command on the Linux, right? If I want to do execute that in the echo through, echo, hey, my system name is. So if I want to call it as an okay script, okay, you can try to say simply here host name. So what is happening is, hey, my system name is Ubuntu. That is the way it is printing. My system name is Ubuntu. So that is the way. So if I want to execute any command, you can do. Okay, that is fine. We'll look at. If you look at now, what is happening whenever I run any command, the command output is showing on the screen. Okay, whenever any command, okay, whenever you run any command, that command output is showing on the screen, right? But generally what happens, this command is submits to kernel. Kernel is responded to that, and it is shown that output on the screen. Okay. It is not always that, okay, you need to print on the screen. So what I can do, what I'll do here, simply, hi, my system name is echo. Okay, simply I say, hi, my system name, or else I can say simply, okay, date. I don't want to, okay, I don't want to print that. So what I'll do, I redirect that to redirect that. See, is that printed on the screen now? No, that is not printed on the screen. It is redirected to one of the file. Okay. So if you look at that file now, cat script.sh. So cat script.sh. So, okay, then it is printing that whatever the output, instead of printing on the screen, it is redirected to where? In the file. Suppose if we say again, instead of that, okay, I say pwd. So what happened now, if you look at cat script.sh, the date is overwritten by pwd. What happened? So what happened now? So it has printed, it is instead of printing on the screen, it is redirected to one file, that is fine, but it is overwritten. So the date value, whatever the content was there, like date, it is overwritten with the pwd command. Suppose I don't want to overwrite, I want to append the content. Suppose you can say simply double redirection. It is very useful. Okay. So you don't want to overwrite the content. So you can see now script.sh. So, okay, it is printed like both it is appended the value. The date command is appended to the existing file. Such a way, instead of overwriting, you can try to use double redirection symbol to append it. Now let us execute the script now. So how can we execute? /root/script.sh. Oh, it is saying that present working directory is root and today's date is whatever the date we have. That is what it is printing, right? As I also told you can try to run it like this. Okay, script.sh dot nothing but present working directory, then the path of the script name. So that is also you can try to do. Clear? Any questions? So this is the way we can try to, okay, create and execute on a script. Okay. So what we'll do? So we need to understand some VI editor actually. To edit any particular file, we need to understand some VI editor commands. So what happens, like VI, the file name, let us say script.sh. So in the VI editor, right, we cannot directly edit the file. So there are different modes are there. VI editor, if you want to work with, first we have to say insert mode. Everything for you have to say escape. Okay. It starts with escape. Then I means insert mode. So if you look at here, when I say escape I, you see here bottom insert mode, right? That means I can write something on it now. Okay, I can write something like echo today date is, you know, right? If you want to execute on a shell script in that particular echo command, you can use backtags, right? So I can say echo my present working directory is, I can say backtags. So this way. So now let us try to save this file. If I want to save, escape WQ exclamatory mark, you have to say. Okay, just practice that escape shift colon. That means this escape colon WQ. W means write. That means save, execute, exit, save and exit. It is basically, it will do save and exit. If without W, if you give, it will only exit that without saving. Okay, just practice this. Initially, it may bit confusing, but yeah, it is very simple. Simply you can say, okay, simply you can say, okay, so save and exit. Simply you can say save and exit, so that, okay, it will save the file and come out of that. Okay, so this is the way you can try to. So a lot of VI editor also, like a lot of things you can do in VI editor. Like, okay, if you look at like an okay, if you want to copy the file, what you can do, escape YY, escape P. That means it will copy and paste. How to copy a file, line especially. Escape, for everything you have to say escape. YY means it will copy the content, copy the line. Escape P means it will paste that. If you want to delete that particular line, you can say escape DD. Okay, if you look at, I want to delete this particular line, escape DD. Suppose 2 lines I want to delete, escape 2 DD. It will delete, okay, those 2 lines. You want to undo, escape U. It will undo that. Escape U means undo. Okay, U means undo that. Okay, escape DD means it will try to delete. Escape U means undo that. Okay, suppose you want to, without saving, if I want to quit, you can say simply Q, escape colon Q exclamatory mark. Without saving, it will exit. See, I updated 3 lines, right? If you look at now, How many lines? Only 2 lines, because I didn't save that. Okay, I didn't save that particular file. Okay, now previously what I told, when you try to run any command, what happens, that command response will be shown on the screen. Okay, so if you don't want to, it is not mandatory that every time you have to get an output on screen. You can get a redirect to another file also, right? You can redirect to another file also. Let us say what I'll do here. Okay, let us say what I do, redirect here to log.txt. Some script I'm executing, I'm trying to store that log file into log file. What is happening now? Log file. So I want to execute this script. The output, I want to store it in the file called log file. Okay, save this. Now previously when I run the script, the output shown on the screen, right? Now what I'll do, I'll execute the script. Is that output shown on the screen? No. But you look at here, it has created one file called log file. It has created one file called log file. If you look at the log file, so what happened now? So that particular output is shown on the screen. That output shown on that the output redirect to this particular file. That file I can see that now. So any application developer, if they develop any application, they write any script, they require a log, right? If something is not working, application is not working, so you want to go and look at the logs to understand what is the issue, right? You have to understand what is the issue. How can we understand the issue? By looking at the log. By looking at the log files, you can understand what went wrong. Based on that, okay, you can try to troubleshoot that. Based on that, you can try to troubleshoot that. Now, so how they generate the logs? They can redirect that output into this one particular log file, and they can try to. So let us try to repeat that. So when I say echo, as I said, like, okay, we can try to run a command. That command is basically prints whatever you say on the screen. You can also redirect that output, okay, to one particular file. That is also fine. Okay, right? So there are two types of outputs basically. If you look at now, echo date, fine, it is printing on screen, good. But if I say, what happened now? Is that printed output on screen? No. There is some issue with that command, what I given. This we call it as a standard output. This we call it as a standard error. It is not an output, it is an error. There are two types of outputs. One is standard output and standard error. Okay, let us try to look at, if in this case, if I try to redirect to that new file, is that redirecting? Is that redirecting?
No, it is throwing error.
So the redirection symbol works for standard output, not for standard error, right? So whenever I try to say, if it is working fine, the right command, if you given, yes, it is executing perfectly fine. But if you given a wrong command, something went wrong in the application, it is not storing that log, that particular issue into the log file. So you cannot go and troubleshoot that, right? So you don't know what went wrong. So it is printing on screen. So standard output, it will redirect, but standard error, it will not. So how can we redirect standard error and standard output? Both means you can put ampersand here. If you say ampersand, both standard error, it will redirect, and standard output also. If you look at now, cat new file, see, standard error also, it is redirected to that particular. So how can we redirect? How can we redirect both the standard output and standard error to that particular file? Okay, so we can try to use this particular way. So with the help of this ampersand symbol, will redirect the output of standard output as well as standard error. Both it will redirect. Okay, ampersand will help us to redirect standard output and standard. Generally, in the ampersand means 1 plus 2 actually. So standard output represents with a 1. Standard error represents with 2 actually. So to avoid this 1 and 2, all the confusion, simply you can say ampersand. It will combination of 1 and 2. If you look at here, 2, okay, if you look at 1 means standard output, right? But its standard error is printing on screen. So if you say 2, standard error, right? So if you look at here, standard error redirected. If I say echo means write command, standard output, it is printing on screen. So 1 means standard output, 2 means standard error. So to avoid all this confusion, simply you can say ampersand. Both standard output and standard error, everything will be redirected to this particular file. If you don't want to overwrite the content, if you look at now what happened, the previously error, whatever we have, that is overwritten. To avoid that overwritten, what you can do, simply you can say double redirection symbol, so that what happens, it will not overwrite any content. Okay, it should not overwrite the content. So it it should, okay, 1 second. It should append the content, let us say. So cat new file. So previously date was as it is. Now it is updated with a, this particular one. So that is the way you can try to do that. Now, so I hope you understand what is meant by STD, standard output, standard error, right? Standard error, standard output represents basically with a 1. Okay, standard error represents with 2. So if you want to have a combination of these two, simply you can say ampersand. Ampersand will try to redirect both. Single redirection means overwrite, double redirection means append, right? So fine. So if you look at now the script.sh, it will try to edit some more things like, okay, so if you look at here, I try to redirect to the file. But what happened now? Okay, I executed this application. It has created file called log.txt, fine. Today it is created with the same log.txt. Tomorrow also it is created, say updated with the same log.txt. Like every day it is updating with the same log.txt. It will create a problem, right? So I want to have date wise, right? So today is with the date 16 or 17 date with that particular content. So I can understand, hey, this log is generated on this log generated on this. I can understand that way, right? Okay. To understand that, what we'll do is we'll try to understand variable concept. So if you look at here, if I given a value as 10, if you see echo a, what is printing? A only. But if you want to get the variable of that, I can say $a. $a means, hey, what is the a value? 10, it is printing. If you want to call a variable, how can we call a variable? With the dollar value. Okay, with the dollar, the variable name, it will try to print that actual value of that. Okay, now what I'll do. So if you look at now echo, simply I say date means it will print the date, right? So if in front of that, if I try to put it like this, it is not printing anything. 1 second, I'll do one thing. Okay, date. Okay. Okay. If I do this, right? So what it is printed, today's date it is printed, right? Percentile D means, so, okay, date. If I say percentile M, date and month. Percentile Y means date, month, sorry, I given capital Y. Percentile, I missed a percentile. Percentile Y means it is printed in a year. So date, month, year, such a way it will try to print, right? So that is the way in the date format will work, okay? So simply if you want to give like a capital D here, so sorry, percentile I missed again. So it is trying to print in this format. Okay, date, sorry, month, date, year with a, okay, this format, right? So we have a different date formats. If you want to look at just ChatGPT, Google it, and you can understand the different date types. So what I'll do, I'll try to create a script like this now. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to create a variable now first. Okay, I'll try to create a variable. Now is a variable name. Let us say what I do is $date, okay, plus percentile month, percentile date, okay, month and date. If you want to add, you can add year as well. That is fine. Now what I'll do, it is a variable, right? How to call a variable? Now hyphen log file. Okay. So what I'll do here also $now hyphen log file. That means what is the now value you'll get? Month and date, then log file. Let us save this file now. WQ exclamatory mark. Now you know how to execute the script, either full path or else absolute path. That is fine. Now you look at ls-lrt. It is executed date, sorry, month, date, then log. So what I did for that, cat file, sorry, script.sh. First I define a variable, right? For that, what I define? First I define the variable. Hey, some like variable name is now date variable, date command with a month and date. I stored in the variable called now. When I'm trying to execute my command, I try to call that variable $now, then file, $now, then file. So what happened? That particular date, tomorrow if I execute, what happens? Okay, 0318 hyphen log file it will create. Okay, such a way every day, whenever you execute this command, as per the day, it will try to execute. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, try to do the simple task today, like create a script with what is your system name, what is your date, what is an which operating system you are using, such kind of a simple script you create and give the executable permissions and execute the script. We'll try to look at the next session So with the different commands like grep, awk, sed, such kind of advanced shell scripting we'll try to look at. Next 2 sessions we'll complete the shells. Then we'll jump into AWS and other DevOps.